Deep in the earth, far away from the noise of modern life, there are places that hold stories older than our entire idea of history. Ancient caves are not just hollowed-out spaces. They are time capsules, places where people thousands of years ago left behind messages, tools, and even their fears. Imagine stepping into one of these caves. The air grows colder. Your footsteps echo softly against walls that have been standing since the last ice age. Your light catches the red, black, and ochre drawings left by hands that no longer exist. Figures of animals, human silhouettes, strange symbols whose meaning we still debate today. These caves are the closest we have to traveling back in time. When we think about ancient caves, the first thought might be about famous ones like Lascaux or Chauvet in France. But what most people do not know is that caves around the world hide mysteries just as strange, maybe stranger. Some are covered in carvings that seem to tell stories of creatures that do not fit into our understanding of what lived in those times. Others have skeletons arranged in ways that look intentional, like part of a ritual. It is hard not to feel that these caves are not just shelters but sacred places where early humans connected to something beyond themselves. In some caves, scientists have found soot from fires still stuck to the ceilings, showing where people lit torches to paint. They also found footprints, including those of children, frozen in mud that hardened over thousands of years. One cave in France shows the tracks of a child and a wolf walking side by side. Was the wolf tamed, or was it following the child? We will never know, but it makes the past feel alive, as if those people were not so different from us. Then there are caves that hold things for a stranger. Take, for example, the cave systems in the American Southwest where explorers have claimed to find signs of advanced tools or even writings that do not match Native American history. Some researchers think these are hoaxes. Others insist they prove that people were here long before we believe they were. There are also legends of entire underground cities hidden in cave networks beneath the Grand Canyon. The Smithsonian has denied finding anything there, but the stories refuse to die. Some caves seem to have been deliberately sealed. Archaeologists have found entrances blocked with massive stones, as if the people who used the caves wanted to hide whatever was inside. When the stones are removed, what lies beyond can be unsettling: bones stacked in careful patterns, small figurines left behind, paintings of animals that look like they are glowing in the dark when lit by fire. Imagine what it felt like for the first explorer to crawl through a narrow passage and come face to face with something painted 20,000 years ago. The most unsettling thing is that some caves appear to contain symbols that look universal: spirals, handprints, dots arranged in lines. These symbols show up not only in Europe but in Africa, Asia, the Americas. How could people separated by oceans come up with the same shapes? Was it coincidence, or did early humans share some deeper knowledge we have forgotten? Some scientists suggest these markings could be early star maps or calendars. If that is true, then caves were more than shelters. They were observatories, ways for early humans to make sense of the universe. There are also stories from explorers and spelunkers who say that caves can feel alive. They report hearing strange sounds deep underground, like distant drumming or voices. Sometimes their equipment fails, lights flicker, or compasses spin. While science might explain some of this as echoes, magnetic fields, or even hallucinations caused by lack of oxygen, the feeling of being watched is hard to shake. Ancient people may have felt this too. Perhaps that is why they treated caves as sacred, dangerous places where the spirit world could be contacted. Some of the oldest human remains have been found deep in caves, so far in that it seems impossible people would have carried them there by accident. In South Africa, the remains of a species called Homo naledi were found in a chamber so difficult to reach that modern climbers struggled to get in. How did these ancient humans do it? Why did they do it? It suggests that even hundreds of thousands of years ago, people may have been performing burials, showing respect for their dead. And then there are the caves with paintings that seem to show things we cannot easily explain. Figures with elongated heads, strange lights, and even shapes that look like modern aircraft. Mainstream archaeologists say these are just symbolic, perhaps representing spirits or shamanic visions. But others think they could be proof that ancient people encountered something unusual. Could they have seen something in the sky that made such an impression that they felt compelled to record it on the walls? Even today, new cave systems are being discovered. In 2018, divers explored the largest underwater cave system in Mexico, uncovering not just geological wonders but also Mayan artifacts, altars, and human bones. These discoveries hint that caves were used for rituals connected to death and rebirth, a passage to the underworld in their mythology. This connection between caves and the afterlife appears in cultures all over the world, suggesting a shared human belief that going underground meant entering a different realm. As we explore further, we find that caves are not just part of our past but also part of our psychology. There is something about descending into darkness that awakens both fear and curiosity. We want to know what is hidden, but we also feel a primal unease. This mix of dread and wonder may be why stories of cursed caves, hidden treasures, and lost civilizations keep surfacing. They speak to something deep in us that still feels that caves might hold secrets that could change everything we think we know. As more explorers venture into these dark places, they start noticing patterns that hint at something much bigger than a few random paintings or artifacts. Some caves seem to be connected not just physically but conceptually, as if ancient people across the world shared the same idea of what a cave was meant to be. There are caves in Europe where lines and dots are carved into the walls, and the spacing between them matches lunar cycles almost perfectly. This suggests that early humans may have been tracking the passage of time, perhaps even using caves as the first calendars. Imagine sitting deep underground, firelight flickering on the walls, counting the days of the moon until you knew when to hunt, when to plant, when to prepare for winter. Another layer of mystery comes from caves that contain strange minerals or crystals. In some cases, these caves have natural acoustics that amplify sound, creating eerie effects. When drums or voices are used inside, the sound can vibrate through the walls, making it feel as if the entire space is alive. Researchers experimenting with sound in these caves discovered that many paintings were placed in spots where echoes are strongest, suggesting that rituals involve not just sight but sound. Early humans might have used chanting and music to enter trance-like states, turning the cave into a kind of spiritual theater. Some caves are far more difficult to explain. There are reports of tunnels in South America that stretch for miles with unnaturally smooth walls, as if they were carved by machines. Locals speak of them as places the gods made, and explorers who go too deep sometimes fail to return. Mainstream archaeology has yet to confirm these accounts, but it is fascinating that so many different cultures speak of underground realms inhabited by spirits, gods, or beings that came from elsewhere. There is also the question of why certain caves seem to contain warnings. In some sites, symbols of danger like figures with raised hands or depictions of monsters are drawn near the entrance. Were these meant to scare off outsiders, or were they a way of marking sacred space? Some scientists believe that caves were seen as portals to another world, a place both powerful and dangerous. Entering one may have required permission from a shaman or elder. This gives the sense that the deeper you go into the cave, the closer you are to something not meant for everyone to see. In certain caves in Southeast Asia, explorers have found carvings that look like star constellations, including ones that match the Pleiades cluster. This is fascinating because these stars were considered important by cultures on every continent. Why would early people go deep underground to map the sky? Perhaps because caves offered a controlled environment, a dark canvas on which to draw the heavens. Some researchers think that by reproducing the sky underground, people were performing rituals to bring the cosmic order into their world. There are even caves where scientists have detected traces of psychoactive plants burned in ancient fires. This hints that some cave ceremonies involved altered states of consciousness. It makes you wonder if some of the strange figures painted on the walls were not meant to be literal but were visions seen by shamans. If so, then caves were not just places of art but of mind-expanding experiences, the first temples of human imagination. In North America, some cave sites contain handprints where the fingers are missing or bent. This is not accidental. It is thought to be a form of sign language or a code, but its meaning is still unknown. Some believe it could represent clans or families. Others think it might mark the number of people who participated in a ritual. The fact that these handprints are found so far inside caves shows that they were not casual decorations, but part of something meaningful and possibly secret. Even more mysterious are the caves where no one can agree on who built or used them. In India, the Barabar caves are carved with such precision that the walls are perfectly smooth, almost like polished marble. The acoustic effect inside is so strong that even a whisper seems to bounce forever. Mainstream historians date them to around 200 BC, but no one knows exactly how ancient builders achieved that level of craftsmanship with primitive tools. This has led to speculation that they may be much older or that some lost technology was involved. When scientists explore underwater caves, they often find things that completely rewrite what we thought we knew. In Europe, divers have found cave paintings that are now completely submerged, proving that they were made when sea levels were much lower. This means that some of these works are older than we imagined, from a time when coastlines were different and entire landscapes now underwater were dry land. Each new discovery forces us to rethink how far back human creativity goes. Then there are the caves that seem to defy explanation altogether. Stories exist of glowing crystals, strange magnetic anomalies, and even sudden drops in temperature in otherwise warm regions. Modern instruments can measure some of these effects, but they do not always provide a clear answer as to why they happen. For people thousands of years ago, these natural phenomena must have felt like direct contact with the divine, and perhaps that is why we still feel something when we go into caves today. They are reminders of a time when the world was larger, darker, and more mysterious. A time when humans were just beginning to ask the big questions about life, death, and the universe. Every step deeper into a cave feels like peeling back a layer of history, and with each new discovery, we are reminded that our story is far from fully written. Some of the most unsettling cave discoveries are the ones that seem to resist any explanation at all. There are places where researchers have found artifacts that should not exist, objects that look far too advanced for their supposed age. In some caves, metal tools have been uncovered deep beneath layers of sediment dating back tens of thousands of years. Skeptics argue that these must have been planted or accidentally introduced later, but in a few cases, the surrounding rock appears undisturbed, suggesting the items have been there for far longer than human history should allow. One particularly strange story comes from a cave system in China where miners reportedly discovered small, perfectly round discs made of stone. Each disc had grooves spiraling toward the center, almost like a record. When examined under a microscope, the grooves seem to contain microscopic markings that some claim are writing. These so-called Dropa stones are controversial. Mainstream scientists are divided over whether they are natural formations or real artifacts, but if they are authentic, they could be evidence of a language we no longer understand. In South America, there are legends of vast tunnels running beneath the Andes. Some explorers have claimed to see rooms filled with golden objects, strange statues, and even walls that look as if they were molded rather than carved. Yet every attempt to fully explore these places ends in disaster or silence. Some expeditions never return. Those who do often speak of overwhelming fear, as though they were being warned away. This recurring theme, that caves are both treasure houses and traps, suggests ancient cultures may have seen them as places where the human and spirit worlds intersected. In Europe, a cave in Romania known as Muval Cave remained sealed off from the outside world for over 5 million years. When scientists finally entered, they found an entire ecosystem unlike anything on the surface. Creatures with no eyes, translucent skin, and chemical-based life cycles thrive there. This is not just a biological curiosity, it shows that caves can be worlds unto themselves, completely separate from the rest of the planet. If such life can exist here, cut off for millions of years, it raises questions about what else could be hiding in unexplored caves around the globe. Some stories are even darker. In parts of Appalachia, locals whisper about caves where people have gone missing, never to be found again. Some claim there are tunnels that connect far-flung regions, allowing something or someone to move unseen. Whether these tales are folklore or based on real events, they keep the idea alive that there are still places under our feet that we do not fully control or even know about. There are also caves whose entrances are deliberately hidden by nature. In the jungles of Central America, entire cave systems have been found completely overgrown, with entrances disguised by vines and soil. When these caves are finally opened, they often reveal ceremonial sites of the Maya, including offerings to their gods, sometimes even human remains. The air inside is so untouched that it feels like stepping into another time. These discoveries have helped archaeologists understand the role caves played in Mesoamerican religion. They were seen as mouths of the underworld, places where offerings could be sent to deities who controlled rain, harvest, and fate. Another strange phenomenon is that many caves appear to produce natural sounds, humming, whistling, or low rumbles, even when there is no wind. Some scientists say this is just air moving through narrow spaces, but the tones can be so regular they resemble music. Ancient people may have seen these sounds as voices of the earth itself. Imagine sitting in total darkness and hearing the cave sing. It would feel like a message from another world. Modern explorers using ground-penetrating radar have detected entire chambers hidden behind cave walls. These voids sometimes contain nothing, but other times they lead to rooms filled with artifacts. In some cases, researchers have decided not to open them, fearing that exposure to outside air could destroy whatever lies inside. This means there could be treasures or texts just a few feet beyond where we stand, waiting for future technology to safely uncover them. And perhaps the most fascinating idea is that caves might still hold knowledge we have lost. Carvings that resemble star maps could hold clues about astronomical events we have not yet deciphered. Strange bones could reveal unknown species. Even pigments used in cave paintings could teach us about chemistry that ancient people discovered long before modern science. When we talk about secrets hidden in ancient caves, we are really talking about the limits of our understanding. Every discovery leads to more questions. Why did people risk their lives to go so deep underground? Why did they leave paintings in places where no natural light could reach? Were they trying to record history, communicate with spirits, or something else entirely? Perhaps that is the true magic of these caves. They force us to remember that we are not as far from our ancestors as we think. They were curious, spiritual, creative, and perhaps just as haunted by the unknown as we are. Every handprint on a wall is a message across time saying, "I was here. I want it to be remembered." And as long as we keep exploring, we will keep finding those messages, hidden in the dark, waiting for the next person brave enough to step inside.